To get started with Zing, we can create a free account by clicking this button on Zing's homepage. From there, we'll just enter our credentials. A password, and we'll read and accept the terms of use. From there, we actually can go to the data sources section and notice that Zing has already set up a data source for us. This is a great and easy way to get started if you don't have a database set up already. In this case, we want to set up a new database. So we're going to delete this existing database and add a new data source. From here, we're going to select the data source type. Right now, Zing supports Postgres. It also supports Postgres running on Amazon, RDS, or on Google, on Google's cloud platform. We're going to drop in the host name. Our username, a port, the database name, and finally our password. We can also edit or delete our data source, add a new data source, or search amongst our data sources. From here, I can invite my colleagues. So I'm going to invite Maria at getzingdata.com. And hit plus. And if I want, I can invite multiple colleagues. I tap invite, and they'll get an email saying that I've invited them to be my data sources. So that's the basics of setting up a new data source in Zing. Let's go to the app. I'm now going to open the Zing app on my phone. Log in. And then I'll see a list of tables and questions. These tables are pulling from the database that I just configured, and questions are other questions that I've saved or my colleagues have saved. I can also search across tables and questions. Once I've found my products table here, I'm going to look at how many units I have of discontinued items. So I'm going to sum units in stock, and I'm going to group by if they're discontinued. I then tap the Next button in the lower right-hand corner to run the query. I now see my results as a nice graph, and I can see that I have 157 items, which are discontinued. I'm going to name this question so I can share it with my colleagues. I could also visualize this data as a data table. I can save this data table down to my phone as a CSV, or I can save this graph to my photo gallery to include in presentations, Slack messages, and emails from wherever I am. Now we figured out that there's a lot of products that are discontinued that we want to get off the shelves. I want to figure out which specific products those are. So I go back to my products table, and I'm going to instead group by product name and look at the sum of units in stock. I'm also going to group by if they're discontinued. So where discontinued is 1, I'm going to look at the product names where I have the most inventory. I can now tap on these lower bars on the right here, where discontinued is true or has a value of 1, and I can click on the individual bars to see the values of inventory I have for each of those products that have been discontinued. Now I'm going to go look at how long my support team is spending answering questions related to various topics. I'm going to sum the hours worked, and I'm going to group by the topic. Then I'll hit Next to run the query. I can see that 13 hours were spent on billing questions, and a lot less was spent on other types of questions. So I'm going to go back one step to see if this holds true by platform, and I'm going to group by platform and rerun my query. I can see that billing represents the biggest portion of the stacked bars for Android, iOS, and web. And so this tells me that I probably want to come up with easier ways for the support team to answer billing questions. As I save the question so the rest of my teammates can see it, I'm going to include that in my title. When they open the Zing app, they'll see this saved question under their questions list, and they can click into it to immediately see the graph or data table underlying it. Go to getzingdata.com to get your free account.